All right. Today is May 23, 2018. This is the meeting of the Kubernetes CSI implementation group. Let's move on to the agenda. So yesterday we had a one-off special meeting to discuss the driver registrar. The challenge here is that in order for us to move the logic for the driver registrar into the kubelet, which we want to do only for the ability to write to the node object. We want to do that for security reasons. We don't want to give permissions to write the node object, leave that to the driver registrar, the external component. We want to have that logic be controlled by the kubelet. So we want to move that logic into the kubelet. Sergey did some investigation around this, and what he discovered was, well, you have a chicken and egg problem. Basically, in order for kubelet to be able to do this logic, it needs to know how to call out to the volume plugin, and it doesn't know what the volume plugin's name is. So how is it going to call out to the volume plugin? So what we realized is that there is a dependency on another project that we have in the works, which is driver registration with the kubelet. This is a wider project than just the work that we're working on with CSI. The GPU and device plugin team have a proposal out to try to have a standard mechanism by which you register an arbitrary plugin with kubelet. And the idea is that once that is done, then kubelet will have a way to know, oh, a CSI plugin exists, and it'll know how to contact that CSI plugin and do whatever we need to do. I think Sergey had some other ideas about we could potentially use, or I think Luis actually, I forget who the person was who proposed this, but have some mechanism by which we register a plugin with the Kubernetes API and then use the Kubernetes API as an intermediary to discover what is or is not on the cluster. This could be done through CRDs or through a config map. And the benefit of that would be that their user has a very easy way to be able to discover what plugins are installed on the system. That is a little bit more challenging because driver registrar could have an instance running on every single node, and you need to make sure that you need to coordinate between all of these nodes and figure out who's going to be the one that registers with the Kubernetes API, and when should they do it? Is it when all the plugins on all the nodes are running? How does that coordination happen? So that's a little bit more challenging, but something that we can consider in the future. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that discussion, Sergey, Luis, Vlad? Anybody else that was on the call? No? Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
All right, cool. So the conclusion there was we're going to block on the plugin design, or the plugin registration code. So
do we know when that's gonna happen?
So yeah, Vlad's been working on it. Vlad, maybe you can give an update on that.
Yeah, I asked the question. I posted a question yesterday to the author whether or not this can happen. His reply was he's trying to he would like to see it happen, but there are still several questions pending on the PR. I think at this point, I think somebody who can approve it probably should take a look at it. I don't know if I can approve it or not.
Yeah, I'll take a note to take a look at it. If you don't have any concerns with the current status of it,
I think after I discuss it, I think we should discuss it internally to
okay,
to make sure that the work the flow makes sense for us. I think it does, but I just want to double check with the rest of the team here.
Okay.
And then after that, we can tell them to keep going. Because I think I don't know if the CSI
Excuse me.
bless you, the other plugin. I don't know if the other plugin team, if we need their blessing to move forward. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we need sign off from both. I think it might be they might be waiting for us. Since it's more important to us, I'm happy to try to drive it forward faster.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that what is proposed will work for CSI. I think last time the big open questions that we had were around the fact that this exposes a new gRPC set of methods and
Which it does
services.
still.
And those services, the names collide with the CSI services. How will all of this work like end to end? Are they going to share a single Unix domain socket, which it seems is not possible? If
Right.
not, then is it going to are we going to do a proxy where the driver registrar basically exposes a Unix domain socket that kubelet talks to, and then anything that the driver registrar can fulfill, it fulfills for registration, and then anything it cannot, it proxies back to the driver? I think that might be the answer.
Yeah, I think that's what it is now.
Okay.
And we could do a quick walkthrough because it's
Okay.
not a big not a big proposal.
Let's do that. Maybe later today, if you want to set something up.
Okay.
Let me take a look at the calendar real quick, and we can just nail that down. So anything outside of 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific time works for me.
Outside of 1 to 2 p.m.
Yep.
Pacific. 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific.
We could do before or after. We could do right after this meeting if you want.
Oh, okay. Then that would work better for me.
Okay, let's do that. And we just use the same call. We'll just carry on there.
Yeah, if we do continue the call, then that would work for me.
Okay.
Quick question, Vlad, about this thing. Does this only let the kubelet know what device is registered, or is there some mechanism for letting other components also know about this new device and what it's called?
So this is this is strictly for the kubelet.
Okay.
To know where it is.
All right.
It's a discovery mechanism for the kubelet.
Uh-huh.
And the kubelet reaches out to whatever that thing is, which it could be a plugin. As long as that thing exposes a set of, like Saad was saying, a set of calls, RPC calls, then it'll make a call to it and then start the registration process.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah. Vlad, but I mean, they're looking at it from one perspective. Would it not make more sense to create an interface which can be implemented with the plugin specific logic inside? In this case, they have a flexible and lean code, like a general code, and then we have ability to talk to the CSI, to the driver, and get all the information on behalf of the driver. So there is no this strange, double sockets proxying. I'm just failing to understand why they're not looking in the direction, especially since in the doc they talk about the interface.
Yeah, so that's why I want to talk to. Let's bring that up when we talk about the actual design, because some stuff is I want to understand as well. Not having set down and implement anything concrete. I want to make sure that we do the exercise of going through the design and make sure we understand it and it makes sense for us. So let's bring that up a little bit later.
Okay, so we'll do that right after this call. If you're interested, just stay on the line. Let's go through the rest of this stuff and run through it real quick. So we were doing a status update on items. Block volume. Glad you want to give an update on this one.
Yeah. So I have that PR out, which basically delegates the map call to the volume plugin. There's been a couple reviews which I've addressed. I looked at it earlier today, and one of the reviewers mentioned that Azure just had their block volume merged. So
Oh, great.
right after this call, I have to basically
Rebase
rebase the code and add the call for Azure as well, and then repost it. And then when you get a chance, Saad, you could take a look. I'll poke Aaron again to see if I can get somebody to look at it.
Okay.
Because there's substantial change, not substantial, but code has been moved from one place to another.
Right.
I want to make sure that I'm not breaking anything crazily.
And after this PR goes in, the remaining work is on the CSI plugin itself.
That's correct.
Plugin. Okay. And how's that looking?
I started that. I haven't had a chance to go back to it, but I'm looking to put in some times tonight, and basically it's gonna look just like we're doing a node publish right now.
Right.
It's basically the same code, except
Okay.
it'll be the same code. So that code is there. I just need to make sure.
And I know you're working on the other stuff as well. Is this something you're interested in handing off to somebody else so that you're not overloaded?
The other stuff, the other stuff can be handed out.
Okay.
So my plan is to get that code complete or look mostly complete today, and then if I can't get to it, I'll hand it off again probably tomorrow.
Okay, so it sounds like you're gonna kind of focus on the code for the block stuff.
Yeah.
You already got the refactor PR out. You have the context, and you can do the CSI entry one.
Right.
And you kind of got the investigation going on for the plugin stuff. If there's code that needs to be written for the plugin stuff, you could probably hand that off to someone else.
Yeah, I think that is probably the one I'll hand off because I haven't mentally invested that much, or even code-wise.
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that you're not completely overburdened. I know you got a lot going on.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Right.
Okay.
Next up, topology support and CSI spec. I'm still driving this. I updated the PR for CSI. It needs to be rebased with all the changes that went in recently. And I am discussing with James one big contentious issue about what the topology list should look like, whether it should be a list or a map. I'm hoping to set up a meeting with him to finalize on that. Then we need to decide when 0.3 is going to be cut. So right now we're targeting it at Monday. What this means is that if you have a feature that is going into 0.3 and you have a dependency on Kubernetes, you're going to have basically like 12 hours to get your PR in that is using it. I don't think we have anything that depends on 0.3 and is going into the Kubernetes core. Is that
0.3 CSI, right?
Right.
Okay. And will there be any method changes?
No, everything is going to be backwards compatible.
Okay.
There's going to be new methods introduced, but we can pick those up in our next release.
Okay.
Or we can, yeah. So I know the big changes that are going in are snapshots, but snapshots is completely out of tree already, so that's not a problem. Topology is going in, but we're not ready to bridge the full end-to-end topology implementation in this quarter. So CSI will get it in this quarter, and then we'll pick it up next quarter and bridge it with Kubernetes. Resizing may or may not go in. If it goes in, I don't think there will be enough time to get it into the Kubernetes core, but I'll sync up with Hemant on that. And then let me see what the other one was that went in. Let's see here. Add node capacity. So this is basically specifying how many volumes can be attached to a single node. I think, again, I'm not sure this is going to get in time in the core Kubernetes code. I'll sync up with Hemant on both of these. Okay, so let's keep moving on. How do we get rid of this? Kubelet CSI implementation of topology. I think this is just going to be designed this quarter. I've synced up with Chang. We're not going to be able to actually implement it, and I think that's okay. A lot of it actually is going to be out of tree, so that is good. Keep an eye out on that. Kubelet device plugin integration, Vlad already gave us an update. Pull driver registrar labeling logic into Kubelet, so I think we can mark this as red now. It sounds like we're not going to be able to get it in this quarter because there's a dependency. Find a permanent home for unowned important drivers like NFS, iSCSI, AWS. I think the work to identify where they should go is done. And next quarter, we will actually do the moving. So leave that up to Brad to start doing that move. And Brad and Luis, I think. Design entry volume plugin. So this is the big design that David's been working on. He put it at the SIG face-to-face if any of you were there. And
Does this, did someone change the title of this? That looks kind of weird. Entry volumes will be deprecated. Inline volumes question mark. I don't think that's right.
Yeah, let's change that back.
But yeah, the update is I started prototyping. There's no significant roadblocks right now. Seems pretty good, I think.
Cool. When do you plan to move it to the community docs repo?
I was not aware that was something I needed to do.
Okay. Usually when you have a Google Doc that you're collaborating on, once it gets into a state where it's more or less stable, officially all the design docs need to be checked into the community docs repo. So if you go to Kubernetes/community, you'll see a design doc section, and underneath that there will be a storage section. You can open a PR there.
I see. Okay. I'm going to start prototyping and make sure everything just like sanity checks and stuff, and then I'll do that.
Sounds good. Next up, how do credentials get passed? This is already done. CSI Flex Volume Adapter needs to be updated to 0.2, so this has already been done. Shad, do you have any updates on testing or verification of these two?
I'm in touch with Luis to get that done by this week.
Okay, cool. Next up is the Liveness Probe repo. This is a P2. I guess whenever Luis gets to it, it needs to be updated. And then the CSI AWS driver. I don't know if Jan is on the line or Hemant, but they're the ones working on it. Looks like they are not. So we'll leave that as is. Dynamic volume count. So this is the CSI part of this has been merged. So the dependency on this is for a CSI release to be cut and for the code to be written on the Kubernetes side. We'll sync up with Hemant and see if this can make it in or not. That's pretty much all the work that's going on in terms of deliverables for this quarter. We can take a look at the bugs as well. CSI end-to-end tests are flaky, so there's no errors. The PR for this, moving it out of flaky, has been approved, and I believe it's been merged as well. Yeah, it looks like it's no longer here. I think this is green. I'll go ahead and mark it green, and then we can follow up next time to verify. External provisioner. So this is actually work that needs to be done. External provisioner currently deletes volumes if it times out. So if the create volume call times out, it'll immediately delete the volume, then it'll retry, and it can get into this loop where the create timeout call is the timeout is too short, and then it'll just delete and retry, delete and retry. Instead, what it should be doing is try to create. If that times out, do exponential back off until it completely gives up, and then delete. So we're looking for volunteers to do that work. I think Sergey started looking at it. Sergey, do you have any updates on that?
Yeah, I mean, last time when we chatted, I was under, as I said that I think it's implemented on the external provisioner side, and you mentioned that there might be some portion on the entry, and you were gonna check with the whoever reported that issue for the details. And basically, I'm kind of in the standby mode because I'm positive it's implemented on the provisioner, external provisioner.
Okay. Maybe I think Shabik Shah, you've been looking for a project, right?
Yep.
Maybe you can work with Sergey. Sergey can kind of guide you on this, and then maybe you could actually do the code and investigation. Would that work,
Sure.
Sergey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right, thank you. And then the next one is attacher timeouts. This is adding timeout and exponential backoff to the attacher. We can tackle this after the external provisioner is done. We already talked about the special meeting we had yesterday, and we can go over the PRs that need attention, consistent handling of vendored code. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so I think we're going to leave this to Luis to discuss on that PR. Number 85 is a new request for a new CSI driver, which we said we're okay with, so they can go ahead and move forward with that. I don't think we need to track this anymore. Building and testing sidecar containers. Proposal for end-to-end tests and make changes. PRs to discuss that. Luis is currently reviewing this. Let's take a look at what the current status is. Looks like there hasn't been an update here, but we'll leave it to Luis to review that. Update docs for 1.10. I think Luis still needs to get to this. Fix detach when volume attachment does not exist has been merged. Return attach error to attach detach controller. I don't think I had a chance to look at this, so I need to find time to review this PR. Nope, looks like it's already been merged. Sergey, did you get a chance to look at this by any chance? Looks like Vlad did.
No, I wasn't aware. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. As long as Vlad took a look at it, I think we're okay.
Yeah, I took a look at that one.
Perfect. And this was in the core Kubernetes, so okay. SE Linux support, I still haven't had a chance to look at it. I was talking to Michelle offline about it. Oh, looks like it's also merged.
Yeah, I took a look at that one too.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a super minor
Okay.
change for us.
Good. I think the nice thing about this is that it allows the SE Linux stuff to remain on the Kubernetes side and not leak into the CSI API.
Right.
I think some of that stuff should not have gone into the Kubernetes API to begin with. That's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
And then the leader election stuff is already merged, so we can stop tracking that. All right, cool. I think that's all that we have for this meeting. If you want to stick around and discuss the plugin registration with Kubelet, please stay on the line, and we'll spend the next 30 or so minutes discussing that. And I will stop the recording.